With John Gotti's death at the age of 61, the tale of a poor, hard-nosed kid from the South Bronx who grew to become the most renowned and possibly the last of the big-time Mafia godfathers came to a close. Gotti rose to the top of the underworld by masterminding his predecessor's dramatic assassination in 1985. That murder, along with Gotti's victories in 3 consecutive judicial proceedings from 1986 to 1990, sparked a media frenzy that landed him on front pages and magazine covers all over the world. Gotti appeared to have been sent over by central casting to portray a mafia leader, with his confident posture, silvery swept-back hair, dark eyes, and a scar above his lip. Watch the video till the end to know all about how one of the biggest mafia godfathers lived his life. Early life. Born to Italian immigrants Fanny Gotti and J. Joseph Gotti, John Gotti was the 6th of 13 children, in a family whose primary source of money was their father's sporadic day laboring. The family had to move a lot before settling in East New York, which was notorious for its gang activity at that particular time. Gotti began working as an errand boy for Carmine Fatico's underground club in the neighborhood when he was just 12 years old. Fatico was named captain in the local Gambino crime family, the largest of New York City's 5 organized criminal groups. At that time, Gotti met Agnello Della Croce, who became his lifelong mentor through his involvement with the club. The Fulton Boys. Gotti quickly rose to become the leader of the Fulton Rockaway Boys, a gang renowned for repeated robberies and carjacking. Gotti's toes were quite literally crushed when he was 14 years old, while attempting to steal a cement mixer. The accident gave the aspiring gangster his signature walk and added to his long list of petty misdeeds. At Franklin K. Lane High School, he was a bully and had constant discipline problems until he dropped out at the age of 16. Marriage. Gotti married Victoria Di Giorgio, a 17-year-old girl, on March 6, 1962. At the time of their marriage, Victoria had already given birth to their first child, Angela, and was expecting their second. The pair argued frequently in the early years of their marriage and were separated several times. For the sake of his family, Gotti worked as a presser at a coat factory and then as an assistant to a truck driver. First major sentence. However, Gotti's crime-free period was limited, as he was imprisoned twice by 1966. When he and his family relocated to Ozone Park, Queens, he rapidly established himself as a key member of the Gambino hijacking crew. When the FBI prosecuted Gotti and his 2 accomplices with cargo thefts near John F. Kennedy Airport in 1968, he received his first major sentence. All 3 men were found guilty of hijacking and received 3-year sentences. First murder. Gotti shot Jimmy McBratney, a rival gang member who kidnapped and murdered a Gambino family member in May 1973. Gotti was sent to exact vengeance, but he was everything but stealthy, leaving several witnesses at the crime site. After a year on the run, Gotti was apprehended. Roy Cohn, a lawyer fixer, was hired by Gotti's bosses to see what he could do, and Cohn succeeded in having the case downgraded to attempted manslaughter, resulting in Gotti serving only 2 years. The Gambino family's leader, Carlo Gambino, died in 1976. Gambino elected to delegate control of the family to his brother-in-law, Paul Castellano. Castellano agreed to keep Della Croce as the family's underboss in exchange for him controlling 10 of the 23 Gambino gangs. Della Croce appointed Gotti to captain of the Virgin crew after he returned from prison in 1977. The death of his son. Frank, Gotti's youngest son, was struck by a car driven by neighbor John Favara after the kid wheeled his bike into it in March 1980, causing a personal tragedy for the Gotti family. Despite the fact that the death was deemed unintentional, witnesses claim Gotti's wife Victoria afterwards struck Favara with a metal baseball bat, compelling him to seek medical help. According to witnesses, Favara was threatened with murder for 4 months before being bashed in the head and thrown into a van on July 28, 1980. His remains were never discovered. Gotti and his family were on vacation in Florida when their neighbor disappeared, and they claimed to have no knowledge of his whereabouts. Gotti was the product of a rather old-fashioned branch of the Mafia, despite the fact that he appeared modern and made for the 1980s. At a period when many mobsters his age were ingeniously amassing income from insurance schemes, gasoline frauds, and construction rackets, he grew up in a crew of hijackers, leg breakers, bookmakers, and drug dealers. Those in Gotti's crew who handled narcotics did so at their own risk, as the family maintained a strict no-drug policy that was punishable by death. Gotti and the FBI. Gotti's rise in the Gambino family had drawn unwanted attention from mob boss Castellano by the early 1980s. Gotti's $30,000 a night gambling habit was a liability to him, and he despised the Virgin captain's erratic behavior. Gotti's activities drew the attention of federal officials as well, who planted surveillance equipment in the Virgin Club in 1981. The FBI had accumulated enough evidence in 1985 to indict Gotti and Della Croce on federal racketeering charges. Other associates were charged with heroin trafficking. The drug charges enraged Castellano, who imposed a death penalty for unlawful drug trafficking. Gotti understood that as captain, he would be held responsible for his crew's activities. Gotti urged Della Croce to talk with Castellano on his behalf in order to defuse the issue. Della Croce died of cancer before an agreement could be reached. When the boss didn't show up for Della Croce's funeral, all goodwill between Castellano and Gotti vanished. Gotti perceived the behavior as insulting and determined to take action. Castellano was then shot and killed outside Sparks Steakhouse in Manhattan 2 weeks later, on December 16, 1985. Soon after, Gotti was promoted to the position of boss. Dapper Don. When Gotti took over the Gambino family, it had 23 active crews, 300 inducted members, and over 2,000 associates. The Gambino family is thought to have gained more than $500 million from illegal activities, including gambling, drug trafficking, extortion, and stock fraud while Gotti was the boss. Gotti's claimed income was based on a $100,000 a year wage as a plumbing supply salesman and work for a garment accessories company, according to Gotti. According to prosecutors, Gotti got more than $10 million in cash each year as a portion of the Gambino's illegal activity, according to Mafia informants. Gotti's annual take from construction sector shakedowns, according to Gravano, was over $1 million. John Gotti was nicknamed the Dapper Don. He sat at some of the city's best tables at the height of his power, having a joke and snacking with celebrities and mob groupies. But, much to the chagrin of his law enforcement foes, he also catered to the public. The neighborhood event of the year was his annual 4th of July fireworks extravaganza in Ozone Park, Queens. He was quite self-conscious about his appearance, and a giant photograph of him appearing frightening in a debonair fashion adorned one of the walls of his main hangout. Teflon Don. Gotti had become a local hero and celebrity in his Howard Beach neighborhood by August of 1986. When it came time to stand trial on the racketeering charges, Gotti and the other defendants were acquitted. It was a devastating loss for law enforcement, and Gotti rose to prominence as a mob hero and a symbol of invincibility, earning the title Teflon Don because the claims against him just wouldn't stick. Gotti's conviction was subsequently turned into a corporate campaign by the FBI. On April 2, 1992, Gotti was convicted of murder and racketeering after pressuring the Gambino family's new underboss, Sammy Gravano, to testify against him. Life sentence. He sat in a widow's apartment above his Little Italy club, which the FBI had bugged after investigators found Gotti was slipping the woman a bit of cash in exchange for allowing him and his senior associates to meet there on occasion late in 1990. Gotti negotiated his way into a case that was virtually unwinnable. He confessed to 3 murders as well as a host of other crimes, including neglecting to file income tax returns. His underboss, Gravano, one of his co-defendants, measured up the evidence and rolled over against him to save himself, in what is thought to be the largest mafia defection in history. The case went to trial in early 1992. Gotti screamed and tried his best in court, but he lost big. At the same time, the government demonstrated that his Teflon reputation was unfounded, as the federal case in which he triumphed in 1987 that had made him a hero was a sham. He had bribed one of the jurors in order to win the case. John Gotti was sentenced to life imprisonment as a repeat offender, with no chance of parole, and was transferred to a federal prison in Marion, Illinois. After a few years in prison, he nominated his eldest son, John Jr. Gotti, as acting boss of the Gambino family. His son was sentenced to 6 years in jail after pleading guilty to racketeering charges in 1999. Death. The self-styled king spent half of his 7 years as the Gambino family's leader in prison awaiting trial, and the other half attempting to avoid prosecution. Gotti was held in virtual solitary confinement in prison from 1992 to 2000. In 1998, he received treatment for neck and head cancer. Gotti remained in prison until June 10, 2002, when he died in a federal prison hospital from head and neck cancer. The Gotti family, who were barred from staging a mass burial for the mobster by the Bishop of Brooklyn, held a ceremony with 200 friends and family at a funeral facility in Queens. Following the brief ceremony, a parade of 75 limos went through Gotti's favorite hangouts. Gotti was laid to rest alongside his son Frank at St. John's Cemetery. Well, that's it from today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of the amazing content we have in store for you. We'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.